This is a review for Management 310, Chapter 10. This chapter is focused on employee turnover and people leaving the company. Let's get started on the terms. Absenteeism. This is unscheduled absences from work. So an example, I'll relate this chapter a lot to school, would be just skipping class for no reason. Next is a boomerang employee. And so this is a former employee who comes back to work. So an example might be you move away, so you leave schools, and then you move back to the same place and you come back to the school, like a boomerang goes and comes back. Next is bridge employment. And this is reducing one's hours or demands. And this happens a lot for people after retirement. And this will bridge the gap between like workers needed and services. Next is dismissal. And this is just a fancy term for employee termination, which is when someone's fired. You could remember that like the bell in school dismisses you. So dismissal is like you're free to go, which is a little cold. Next is employment at will. So this is an open door policy, and this is basically when employees can work whenever they want, they can leave whenever they want, they don't have to give like a 2 weeks notice, and then employers can fire you at any moment, which is pretty scary on both ends. But this would not be like a school. This would be maybe like a no commitment activity, like extracurricular. In soccer, sometimes coaches pretend like there's an open door policy. They're like, if you don't like the way I coach, you can leave. The exit's right there, but you can't actually leave. Oh, employment at will would be like, you could literally leave whenever you want, no contracts, nothing. Next is involuntary turnover. And so think of these next two terms from the employee's point of view. So involuntary turnover would be you're dismissed by the organization. And then voluntary turnover would be when you choose to leave a job. Next page, we have job embeddedness model. So this is a model that explains why employees stay at their jobs. And the two main reasons why this model explains why employees stay is one, because people like the work environment they fit in, and two, it's a sacrifice to leave. It's a pain to find a new job. It could be not greener on the other side, so the embeddedness model just kind of explains that. Next is layoffs. You all know what that is, but it says in fancy terms, employee separation due to economic or strategic reasons. Next is progressive discipline. And so this is a system that allows employees to correct and change their actions. So the opposite of this would be like after one mistake, you're fired. But progressive discipline in schools would be, I'd say a good example would be for late or being tardy. You're not punished right away. At least at my school, you're given like a late slip, and then if you get 3, you get detention. If you get like several detentions, you get suspended. I don't know if anyone's taking it further, but maybe drop some letter grades. It's not like an immediate bad like termination. So that is progressive discipline, like you're making progress. Pulse survey. So this is short, frequent surveys. And I remember this because a pulse, like your heart, I think a normal heartbeat is like resting 70 beats per minute. Obviously that amount of surveys would be like insane, but it's just short, frequent surveys. Next is severance pay. And so this is pay to employees who are being fired against their will, or as we learned, involuntary, let me make sure I'm getting this right. Yeah, involuntary turnover, cool. And this is pretty funny. In The Office, there was a guy who was about to quit his job, the TV show, and he was like a week away. He's like, I'm done with this job, I'm close to retirement. And then they fired him, gave him a severance package with severance pay and like a nice vacation. He's like, oh, I could not have planned this better. I'm gonna go to the Bahamas, get my money. I was gonna quit anyway. And everybody around him is like, oh my goodness, we're so sorry you're losing your job. But he doesn't tell anyone, he's upset. And then they surprise him and say, wait, we found extra money in the company, you're not fired. And you would think he'd be like so happy, but he's just like, it's pretty funny. But severance pay, when you give the employees who are being let go like a little treat. Tardiness, being late. Employment insurance. This is payment to unemployed individuals. I'd have to do a little research if that's like the same as like a stipend. I don't think it is, but there was, I'm guessing, a lot during COVID of both of those. Unfolding model of turnover. So this is a model. Again, we have two models for this chapter, and this one recognizes that employees leave without having anywhere to go and seemingly without reason. So unfolding model of turnover is like how the turnover rate kind of unfolds, I guess you could say. So even if someone has been like working happily at a company for years, they might just leave. And so this model would kind of explain reasons, and even if someone doesn't have anywhere better to go, they still leave. So this is kind of an explanation of that. Our final term, this is a quick chapter, is wrongful dismissal. So this is firing that is illegal. So this could be several reasons. It could be discrimination, or it could be like a contract. Like if you have a lifelong contract, like I believe federal judges and then like many jobs, but like in the Los Angeles Met, like the orchestra, they have lifelong, you're in that seat for life. So if they just fired you randomly with no notice, that'd be illegal. So that'd be wrongful dismissal too. So there's many reasons it can happen, but yeah, that's chapter 10. Good luck on the test.